This one's come all the way from Gloucester. Yes, his name is Nick Hill, and I hope you're all going to give him a very warm welcome. Please welcome to the stage, Nick Hill.
Let me just take this in. Yeah, just I thought pretty shit, to be honest. This is nice, it's been great so far, hasn't it? Can we just give it up for Lindsay for hosting? So, I set off from Gloucester tonight and my wife said, where are you going? Where's the gig? I said, Stokes Croft. She said, that sounds posh. I said, I've got no idea. She said, well, when you get there, will you send me a picture of what it's like? So I took a picture of this. She phoned me just before the gig started. I don't understand. What do you mean? She said, well, People's Comedy Live tonight. I said, oh, for God's sake. That's not bad, is it? I got down here about 6:30 and to help Henry put the stage and the PA up, and he said, normally we have 2 tiers of staging. Do you think we should put the second tier on? Well, no, absolutely not, because there's no way I'm going to make it onto that stage if we do that. So we've got Father's Day coming up on Sunday, and I think about my dad every Father's Day. He died in 2006. And I've got certain memories about him. Because basically he ruined my childhood. That's what happened. We were living an idyllic life in a lovely little village in Gloucester called Upton St Leonard's up to the age of about 12. It was brilliant. It was a cul-de-sac, all detached houses. I had all my schoolmates there. It was brilliant. I had a girlfriend, Kate Butcher. I loved Kate. We used to play war. And I always chose Kate to be on my side. Not that she was any good at war, but she was just very gullible. Because we used to play war from the age of about 7 to 11, and I managed to convince Kate that wherever I was shot on my body with imaginary bullets, if she kissed it better, I'd come back to life. And as a 9-year-old, I got shot in some quite strange places. And then at the age of 12, all that changed. His dad decided, bollocks the idyllic lifestyle, let's move somewhere in the countryside. And we moved to the Forest of Dean. Okay? I don't know if you're aware of the Forest of Dean. Fairly rough. We moved into this village. I was at a public school at the time. I went to King's in Gloucester. All the kids in the village went to New Comprehensive. They were feral, basically. They'd never seen a proper educated person before. But it was the name calling. It was just relentless, because me and my brother were the only 2 ginger kids in the village. And it was just a name calling. Copper Knob, Duracell, Ginger Nut, you pair of ginger wankers. And in the end, I had to say, Dad, just leave it out. I was thinking of them the other day. So I was watching something on YouTube and just looking at this demographic. It's probably only you and me that will remember this. On a Saturday, you perhaps. On a Saturday, round about 4 o'clock, World of Sport, proper wrestling. Can you remember the wrestling? And I was about 6. And on the wrestling then, basically, the idea was if you pinned your opponent's shoulders to the ground for the count of 3, you'd win. And afterwards, me and Dad would always have a wrestle. And I'd always try and pin his shoulders to the count of 3 to the floor. And I never managed it. Because at the last minute, he always just popped his shoulder up. And looking back, to be fair, I think he was trying to teach me a life lesson. And that be, if something's really difficult, just keep persevering. Because when you achieve your goal, it will be brilliant. And he was right. So I can remember the day I finally managed to pin his shoulders to the ground for the count of 3. It was one of the best days of my life. I mean, he was 88 by then. In a care home. Suffering with brittle bone disease. But I thought, it, a win's a win. You've got to take it, haven't you? So it's really nice to do this gig, and it's nice of Lindsay, as I'm probably the oldest person in the room. I'm 2 years off 70, and this is fucking way past my bedtime. And I retired 3 years ago. I don't know, have we got any other retired people in the room? No, of course we haven't. And I wasn't sure what retirement was going to bring. Right? So for the past 3 years, I've literally spent 24/7 with my wife. And we just got to that stage, you know, that just irritating stage where we niggle each other. I mean, it's nothing major. I mean, for her, it's the fact that I'm still breathing. For me, if we're out in the car and we're coming up to a T-junction, and I'll stop and I want to turn right, and I'll say, is it safe to go? And she goes, yeah. And as I'm pulling out, as long as you're quick, what have you done? You don't want to hear that, do you? You just don't want to hear that. We made a pact that you know, we made sure we kept ourselves busy in retirement. And what I didn't realise, and apparently this is true, I've learned that it is obligatory to spend at least 4 days out of 7 at a garden centre. That's my life now. Like we go to one so regularly just down the road. I've got a loyalty card, and we went there last year on my birthday, because that's how fucking rock and roll I am. And I gave the card over, and she's all, congratulations. Sorry? Well, no, congratulations, it's your birthday today, isn't it? Yeah, and she would now, you qualify for one of our senior citizens discount cards. And I'm thinking, just fucking shoot me now. My life is over, surely. To God. I said, and what benefit is that to me? She said, well, hang on, she said, because now you get 40% off a roast lunch.
Whoa.
I took the card. I'm walking back looking at this card, and she was right. You do get 40% off a roast lunch. And then I read the small print. Served every Monday between the hours of 9:15 and 11:15 a.m. And I thought, who the fuck eats a roast lunch every Monday between 9:15 and 11:15? Well, since last August. But, we made a pact when we retired that we weren't going to fall into that trap of watching daytime TV. We were going to wait till 5 o'clock when the chase came on. That's when we put the TV on. That's when we would start watching it. I think at the minute we're on about 11 o'clock in the morning, we're watching it now. And what I've realised is that the TV adverts are aimed at, especially in the afternoon, for our demographic, and they start instantly enough. Stand stairlifts, walk-in baths with ladies of a certain age in one-piece swimsuits. Right now, I don't mind telling you, some of these women, and they are slightly older, they do look all right, and I've always had a thing for older women. Like when I was 15, a woman could be 35, 40. That was fair game to me. You know, that 30-year age gap, that was great. Now I'm 68. That same ratio of 30 years is pretty... I am now straying into Mary Berry territory. That's what's happening there. But then as the afternoon gets on, the adverts get slightly more sinister. Simple cremation. Funeral plans. I do know a little bit about funeral plans because when my mum died in 2019, she had a funeral plan with the co-op, and as the last surviving son, I had to go and sort it out. So I went into the shop, I said, I'm Nick Hill, Jean Hill's son, come and sort the funeral plan out. She said, okay, have a seat, Nick. I just sat down and said, before we start, how old are you? I said, sorry? She said, how old are you? I said, well, I'm 63, what's that got to do with it? Have you got a funeral plan? I was like, oh, no, Well, you should, because you could go at any time. Right. She said, do you know what it entails? I said, well, no, not really. She said, well, look, if you pay us $4,500 now, we can plan the whole thing. So you can choose to be buried or cremated, you can choose where you want the wake, you can put some money over the bar, you can have whatever food you want. If you want a disco, you can have a disco. If you want a band, you can have a band. If you want a comedian, you can, whatever you want, we can organise. We had a conversation for 15 minutes, and at the end of it, I've got to be honest, I was looking forward to my own death. This is never right, is it? The main thing I was getting a bit worried about getting older was doing stupid things, and I've managed to rise to that occasion. Brilliantly. 3 weeks ago, I managed to squirt shaving gel in my eye. I was in the shower, my chest needed shaving. I had the gel like this. I wasn't looking, I squirted it. It went into my eye. I was literally blinded. I panicked. The wife came up, heard all the commotion, and I couldn't see. We were rinsing out, and it was like just really burning. It was horrific. She said, you need to ring 111. I said, will you ring? She said, well, they won't speak to me. So I'm on the phone to 111, half an hour of questions before we actually got to the point. He said, do you know what shaving gel was? I said, yeah, it was this. He said, okay, let me have a look at it, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're okay, because it hasn't got hydrochloric acid in it. Oh, great. He said, but can you get to Stroud Hospital in the next 30 minutes? I'll put you in an appointment. Yeah, great. I've got to be honest, that 30-minute drive was the worst drive of my life. We got to Stroud Hospital. They were brilliant. I don't care what anyone says about the NHS. They were fantastic. They rushed me in, and I'm over the sink like this, and they've got a big bag of saline, and they're dripping it into my eye. She said, the bad news is you've really burnt your cornea. Right? She said, but this saline, it'll sort it out. And okay. And she's dripping it into this, and she's humming. And I'm like this, and she's so that's a little bit insensitive, isn't it? To the younger people in the room, she was humming, I Can See Clearly Now by Johnny Nash. I'll just tell you this other story before I go. We went to the cinema in Cheltenham a few weeks back, and we booked tickets, picked up the tickets at the box office, went into the room, completely empty, walked up, found our way, walked along, 2 seats, and there was a bloke and his wife sat in the seats. The rest of the cinema was empty. Mate, sorry, but you're in our seats. And he looked around the room as if to say, oh, fucking sit somewhere else. I said, look, rules are rules, aren't they? Come on. So he got up and moved. He went and sat somewhere else. Somebody else came in. He was in their seat. We went and sat somewhere else. Somebody else came in. 3 times he had to move. My wife said, you are so pedantic. Why have you got to be so awkward? I said, well, I'm not being awkward, but we've got allocated seats. It's not being awkward, is it? She said, no, you've just got to see. There's no, we could have sat there. I said, no, we couldn't sit anywhere. Those are the seats. That's where we've got to sit. Now, just shut up, because the film's about to start. And the lights went down, the film came on, and we were in completely the wrong screen. Listen, thanks for coming out and supporting this game. You've been lovely. Good luck.